Alright, so, hello everyone and welcome back to Satisfactory. So last time we left off, we were fixing an aluminum problem, which I believe has been properly fixed. And so now we are over here by nuclear pasta. And what we need to do is currently, we've got all this stuff, and we are making 5 nuclear pasta per second. And we need to make 12 nuclear pasta per second total. So, how are we going to do that? So, one thing might be summer sloops. So, if we need to go from 5 to 12, summer sloops won't be enough. But they will be a start. So, if we wind up being resource constrained, then that's an option. But I think otherwise I would prefer to just expand everything so that I don't have to go summer sloop hunting and then be reliant on those. So here we have one of these. So it's a total of 1,000 copper powder and 5 pressure conversion cubes. So let's just investigate what all those resources are going to mean. So the copper powder is probably the bigger thing here. So we've got 1,000 copper powder going up here across these two, and we've got them split up to 600 and 400. Fair enough. Okay, so then we drop down to here. And we have these massive rows of refineries. And then those feed these constructors. So, it's 1,000 copper powder. Each of these machines is 41.667, which I've set for a specific reason. 1,000 divided by 41.667 is 24 machines. So we have 24 of these doing 250 copper ingots each. 24 times 250. That's 6,000 copper ingots, if that math is correct. So these are each going to be 750. And yeah, that probably is correct. So let's then drop down to here and see these. So this is 37.5 copper ingots per 15 copper. So if we have 6,000 divided by... Oh, it would be probably multiplied by 15 over 37.5. Then we have 2,400 copper ore. That's not that bad. So, 2,400 copper ore, that is 2 pure nodes. Now, if we were to upgrade this, so if we were to just get all of this up to be 10 times, or it would be 12 per second rather than the 5. So we would have 2,400 times 12 over 5 would be 5,760. Okay, I mean, we are in the Dune Desert, right? There's a billion copper around here, and probably these copper nodes that we're building this off of haven't been max overclocked, because I don't see any Mark 6 belts in here, which means this must have been before we did max overclocked Mark 3 miners. So this might actually be relatively straightforward on the copper side. Let's see where this copper comes from, though. let's see here. Copper. We're just going to have to trace these copper ore belts back. I don't fully remember what exactly we were doing here. So this goes over here. And then these belts all meet up. Okay, so we have this one right down here. And yeah, so this is just doing 780. And I assume these two are also like pure belts, which could be doing 1200, which are only doing 780. No, so this is a pure belt, which is hardly doing anything for some reason. Is that just a mistake? Oh wait, no, that's iron. That's not even copper. And there's also Caterium, and then these two are the other copper belts. And is that all the copper supply we have? Is those 3 belts? Or is this also one? Okay, so this is also one, and it's gonna come from way over that way somewhere. And it's not using anywhere near it. So let's see, this belt here is a Mark III. So how much is on the other end of this Mark III? It might be... If I have to upgrade this because this is a pure node that we can use to full effect, then that's going to be annoying. If this is just like an impure node or something, then I'll live with it. Alright, so this is a normal node, which is giving us 240, but could be up to 600. So this could be 600. That other pure node we checked on could be 1200. So that is looking good so far. So currently we could have just from those two up to 1800. And we need 5760. So now let's follow these other 2 copper belts over. So these go all the way over to here. And they are apparently taking quite the journey over this way. Where on earth? Okay, so here's one of them. There's also a Caterium belt along here. A lot of the resources for this were local, which could be a problem. Alright, so this can be another 1200. So currently we're up to 3000 total, if we max out everything. And then this belt, we follow you down. And you are probably going to be just another pure node, if I had to guess. Another pure node. Okay. So we have, what, a total of 4,200 if we max everything out. But that's just using the nodes we've already claimed. There's plenty of... So there's another 900. And then if we go sort of out of our way over to there, there's another 1,200 there. So there's definitely enough copper here. So copper isn't an issue for scaling this up. But what about the other resources? Because there's also Caterium and iron, which we're going to need less of, but we still need to check to make sure that we actually can bring it all the way in. And I just want to confirm all the resources are good before we go into actually building it. Okay, so Caterium. How much Caterium are we going to need? Just going into one machine is a good sign. So we need basically... Is that really it? Alright, we need basically no Caterium. That's convenient. So this is trivial, obviously. That could never be a limiting factor. Even if we multiplied it by like 50 or something, it would be fine. Okay, so then this takes some of the copper, which I believe we'd already accounted for, probably. If not, then it's just a rounding error anyways. It's another 40. Okay, so we also have iron coming in from here, right? So this is an iron mine, and it's going to these guys, and that's hardly any iron. A decent amount of limestone, but nothing which could ever be a problem. Okay. So far, so good. Is this block there sort of all of the raw resource inputs from here, aside from this one copper thing? Okay, wait, no, there's another copper thing over here, which we have. And then we have all this water, obviously. We're gonna need to expand the water like crazy. And expanding this is gonna be hard because it was built on 780 belt speed limits. So we can expand it a little bit up to 1200, but we are just going to need to add more lanes because we are more than doubling it, and 780 to 1200 is not doubling. Okay, so then the other inputs, am I missing anything? We have got this quartz, not much of that, and we've got oil somewhere. Yeah, so then we've got crude oil coming down here, and is that just going into here? Yes, so there's not much crude oil necessary either. And I believe that's it for that row. Then we go up to this row, and let's see here. What other inputs are there? So this is just the iron going through. That's 120 iron ingots. Did I miss something? Why? Oh no, there are a couple machines here. Okay, that's fine. I was wondering how we're getting 120 plus some, but math all checks out. So over here we've got plastic and rubber, and we're gonna have to mess with some load balancing, it seems. So that's not gonna be pleasant. And I know that there's aluminum somewhere in here. I don't see it. Okay, it's gonna be that wall over there is where the resources are dropping down from the train network, which gives us aluminum ingots into here. We have like 30, and okay, actually quite a hefty chunk of aluminum ingots going in to make those casings. But that is it. Okay, so the aluminum ingots might be a problem. We just spent some time upgrading those, so it's probably fine. And if that is the problem, then we can max overclock summer sloop this so that it's only going to take like 2 sloops to fix. So yeah, that should be fine, I think. But getting the... Where's the final output for this stage? It's the... Is it this machine here? No, that's radio control units. The final output for this stage is up here. Okay, so basically what I'm seeing, there are 2 halves of this factory. The pressure conversion cubes are already being summer slooped. Not entirely sure why, but whatever. Probably just conserve aluminum and... Oh, nitrogen. Nitrogen might be an issue. How much nitrogen is this? Not much. Okay. Yeah, so we should be fine. So getting the pressure conversion cubes doubled is going to be quite a nuisance. Although, yeah, well, because it's more than doubling, so we're going to need to, like, upgrade everything beyond this point, and there's going to be all sorts of load balancing issues to do with that. So, it should be doable, and then the copper powder side of things, we're going to have to deal with mass quantities and add in at least one more row of refineries and stuff in, but it shouldn't be complicated, whereas this one will be more complicated. So let's start with this, shall we? We are doing this, and this is 5 per minute. Now, this is max overclocked and summer slooped to get up to 5 per minute. So I think we are going to need another summer sloop, because I don't want to unsloop this, because that would double it again. So we're going to need like 3 fully slooped up assemblers to get to 12. Okay, let's get those built in. What is this pipeline doing? Nothing. Cool. Let's just remove it because we need this space. Okay, that goes in, and then that goes in. Okay, we are going to need one more summer sloop. So that is going to be an issue. I guess we just go hunting. And I'm pretty sure I grabbed, in my last big pull, I grabbed most, if not all, of the sloops out of this area. Let's hide some stuff. Show radar towers. And that is glitching with the side of the map. Very cool. Okay, there are 4 up there. So let's go up there and find at least one summer sloop. So we need to be able to sloop up 2 assemblers to get that going. And we are also probably going to want to add a couple more in as well for the aluminum casing situation, because I don't want to be stressing our aluminum production when it's pretty borderline whether it's actually capable of doing it or not. It's very, very close. Okay, so we swap to jetpack and we run off the side of the map up to here. And we can just keep on moving. And somewhere up in this area we should be able to find a handful of sloops. We need at least one, but if we can like find all 4 up in this area, that would probably be good enough. Alright, up we go. And now we're starting to be in the area where they might show up on the scanner. Yes, okay, here we go. Where are you? Where are you? I saw it for a second. Okay, it's this way and seemingly down. Okay, this is going to be in a cave somewhere, isn't it? Okay, so we're here. It's this way. It's this way. Yeah, so it's like directly beneath us. So let's start checking the walls. Okay, is that something? No. Just checking the walls for any mysterious entrances. There's gotta be a mysterious entrance around here somewhere. Although it could be, like, over here and then the cave goes underground or something. So this could be extremely difficult to find. This could be extremely difficult to find. But we're going to do our best. Okay. Come on, cave entrance. Somewhere around here. Is not looking good. I really, really wish they made these easier to spot. Okay, does this just go down into the void? Or is there stuff down... There's stuff down here. Okay. This has got to be something, right? No, it's just a weird shaped cliff rock thing. Okay, so we are gonna want to take a pause to recover that, and now we just keep on flying. Okay, so I don't think this is anywhere interesting, unless it's like way down here. Okay, no, we are definitely beneath the map at this point. Let's get back up to places where we're reasonably supposed to be able to be. If I can find my way up here. This is testing the jetpack's limits a lot. So I think we have to move over to this waterfall, because that's where we came in from. Okay. So there's the waterfall, I guess. We'll scan around over here for a bit. And then up we go, probably through the floor. Yeah, no, that is just objectively the floor. Okay. Where is this waterfall? There's definitely not going to be summer sloops down here. Alright, here's the waterfall. So we should be able to follow this back up into the real world. Okay, well that was concerning. Now where even were we? Gotten completely turned around. I think the summer sloop was in this wall over here somewhere. So I don't know, maybe it's a cave that you have to drop in on from above. Let's see, anywhere. That's just the void again. Okay, this area is very weird. Very weird indeed. Alright, so far it's been a complete bust on the summer sloop hunt. We've scanned one, but I don't know how to get there, and then the other ones are very sneaky indeed. Okay, so we're up here, and this is just a sand mine that we're using for something. Okay, we've got a summer sloop on the scanner. It's probably this same one. It's probably the same one, so there. Let's just confirm there is no like weird ability to drop down onto it from up here, right? Right. Which means we need to find the cave entrance. Oh, is that it? Is that intentional? That's cruel. Okay. So we got one. And we might just have to eat the aluminum demand for now. Why does that say one? Oh, right, because I had placed the other ones down, right? Okay. So that's fine. Summer sloop acquired. And there's still 3 in this area. But who knows where. I guess we might be able to do a little bit of triangulation with these radar towers, right? So this one has none, and this one has 3, meaning all 3 must be in the northern half of this, or I guess along this area. Yeah, they might actually be in here. Let's go southwest and see if we bump into any summer sloops down here. And just 1 or 2 would certainly make a big difference in the aluminum demand. Okay. We're not seeing one immediately. And we don't really need them anymore. We have the one which is necessary. So let's just head back and figure things out from there. So we just need to get all the way over to the east back to the nuclear pasta factory. So let's just fly up. And obviously if we run into a summer sloop on the scanner on our way, we'll definitely stop and grab it, but should be fine with what we have. Alright, off we go. And now we just slide along. And the nuclear pasta factory is all the way over there. Got quite a bit of distance to cover to get back there. Let's drop back down towards ground level for that. And there we go. Now we just have to make the rest of the trip. And we can do a little bit of slide jumping to gain some speed. And now we're just flying on over. Alright, so once we get there, we need to just start making the upgrades. And actually we should start at the end and work backwards like we have in the past. That worked well for the time crystals. Hopefully it works well for the nuclear pasta. So here are the particle accelerators. You can swap it back to hover pack mode. So, these particle accelerators are making 5 per minute. And there's 10 of them, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. So there's 10 of these. We need them to make 12 per minute. So we just need to overclock them to be 1.2 per minute each. And then copy those settings across. The copper powder demand is still possible with this. And obviously that's the only one which would be close. So in the short term, these are just going to be running out super fast. But in the long term, we will have to do this. In the long term, we'll be getting more resources into these, and then it'll be necessary. Okay, so that is that, up to 12 per minute. Now that we have that, we need to actually check these inputs. So this top one is pressure conversion cubes, obviously not an issue. This bottom row, though, is the copper powder, which is now up to 240, which means it needs to be... Actually, how much? 2,400 copper powder total, so that's 2 full Mark 6 belts. Okay, so this the direct inputs need to be Mark III belts. They were previously Mark IIs. So let's get all of those upgrades in. And just run across with that. And then run across and do the bottom floor as well. Okay, so we drop down. And we're going to get these upgrades and then do one more pass to get the belts. Hopefully it'll only take one more pass. Okay. Almost there. It feels like there are more of them than 10. Okay, so those are now Mark III. Now we swap to the belts. So these belts need to be Mark III. And these belts need to be Mark IV. So we need to get those upgrades all the way in. And this upgrade needs to make it all the way down. And then we need to squeeze into here to get that upgraded to Mark IV. And did I miss something like that already? No. That's what this belt is. Okay. So we're so far haven't missed anything, I don't think. There are Mark IIIs. That's a Mark IV. Which means that this is... what, 960? 2400 divided by 5 is 480. Oh, but this isn't doing it evenly like that. This is doing it in a weird way, which we're going to have to change. Yeah, we're gonna have to change that. The way that this input, so this is going to need to do a 2 to 5 splitter. Okay, so over here, that is 240, 480, 720. So this actually needs to be a Mark V belt. And I didn't leave myself enough room to get over these belts without a whole lot of extra work. So that gets upgraded. And did I get this one? Yes, I did. Okay. Yeah, we're actually going to have to just redo most of this. So let's see. If we go all the way back to this area, we need these to be 2 belts of 1200, and each of them to reach into 5 machines. And that's basically the only way to practically make it work. So currently we're doing it like this one gets 6 and this one gets 4 to avoid the 1 to 5 splitters, but we can't avoid the 1 to 5 splitters. So let's chop these out. And we're also going to have to chop out some of the splitting for these guys, because they're just going to be getting directly from a 1 to 5 rather than whatever they're doing here. Okay, so all of this has to get removed. And then we run down here. And we take all this stuff out. Yeah, I think that's right. This entire thing needs to be torn down and redesigned. So then we go over to this way and take out all of these. And we're almost there on this teardown step. Okay, so it's all torn down, except for like this belt here, I guess, which I'm not really worried about. Let's just take that out a little bit like that. And I guess we'll just remove the entire thing since it's mostly gone already. Okay, so now we need our 1, 2, 5 balancer, which is going to go into there. And that will be feeding in. We'll worry about the details beyond this point in a minute. For now, we are just working backwards, so we get this in. That goes down to there. 1, 2. And this one is going to need to go out like that. 3. Let me over. Then this one needs to go in to that. And then we need one more to go all the way down to this one. Alright, so that is half of those set up. Now we take this one, and you are gonna get upgraded and brought out this way. And all the way out here. Plus a little bit further. Okay. That should probably be... Okay, so now we go all the way out to this way, which is roughly centralized for this half. And we pop in the 1 to 5 balancer. And then this comes all the way down into that. And now we need to get all these guys in without trapping ourselves. So the far one goes all the way down to there. This one goes into there. And then we start getting these ones, except that we need them to go out a little bit before going over so that we don't get stuck. Oh, and it's not you. It's you. And then you come over to here. Pop into that one. Oh my gosh, stop flickering away just as I'm clicking. Thank you. Alright, then this one comes all the way down to here and in. Okay. So that is that balancing set up, but it's not quite done yet because we have to go all the way down to here. We have to go all the way down to here where these guys are sort of choking us out a little bit. Now we have 2 Mark 5 belts going into this, which we need to make 2 Mark 6 belts, and then once we have those, none of this balancing will be necessary at all. This just all goes away. And dismantle, dismantle, dismantle everything. Okay, so that's all gone, and now these just go directly across. And those get upgraded to Mark 6. And we're just going to follow this copper powder line back and get that done. And then turn around and start looking at the pressure conversion cubes after that. Okay. So, now we have these... Now we have these guys. And we need each of these belts to get 1,200 copper powder, which is a lot more than they're currently being delivered. So, let's see here. Where are these copper belts organized? So we have a row of 9 there. We have a row of 9 there. We have a row of 9 there plus 1. So that's 9, 18, 27, 28 machines theoretically, although I don't know if all of these are set to the same speed. So you're 41 point something, you're 41 point something, and you are just 25. Okay, so yeah, they're not all set to the same speed. And then also there's this copper over here, which is doing something else over there, which let's not worry about for now. We only care about all of this stuff going into here. And I believe all of these guys only go into there. It's the only thing they do. So that should be fine. And again, we can get this by just overclocking these. So this row back here, 41.667 times 9 is 375. So each of these rows is 375. 375 times 3 is 1125. Plus 25 is 1150. I don't understand why we're doing that unless one of these rows is a different speed. Unless one of these rows is a different speed, then it would make sense. Because I think we're trying to target... I think we were targeting 1,000 here, right? So if we go all the way down to these, will these be set differently? Yes, they are. So these are 25 each, 25 each, 25 each. So this is 25 times 9 is 225. Okay, I see. So it's... I don't know why I did it this way, but it's 750 plus 225 plus 25 is 1,000. Alright. We figured it out. Now, how do we want this to work instead? Now, okay. First of all, are these specifically being belt speed limited here? How much copper goes into this? 750 per row. So yeah, we do need to consider belt speed limitations here, because if we just crank these up to max overclock, then these belts will be more than 1,200. Okay, so let's think about this the other way, though. So what's the ratio? It's 30 to 5, which is 6 to 1. So if we need 2,400 copper powder, we need 2,400 times 6. Okay, that's definitely wrong, right? 2,400 copper powder. Is that... Yeah? No, that is what we need, right? Okay, so if we need 2,400 copper powder, then we need 14,400, which is... I guess that would be just 12 max speed belts of copper ingots. So how many of these can we currently do? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we would need to add another row of these in, basically, which is fine. That just makes sense. We knew we were going to have to do that. Okay, and then each of these needs to be tuned to take 1,200 copper ingots on these belts. So that would be 400 apiece for these, right? So in these groups of 3, we go overclock some of that, and then you get Actually, what's 100%? So the base is 300 per minute. So we need to do 400 over 300 times 100. Okay, so we do this. And... hello, Control C. Control Z, Control C, Control V. Alright, it worked that time. Something weird with the pasting there. So we're going to paste this across to all of them and not miss any. And then we have to get all these. Why did I start in the middle? I should have started on one side and worked down the edge, but that's fine. Okay, so we go over to here now, and this, we paste all of these ones through. You are not getting the pasting correct. Okay, there's definitely something weird with my keyboard now. Don't know what that is, but... or I don't know if it's with my keyboard or with the game not registering the pastes, but either way, it's kind of annoying, but not the end of the world. Okay, so now these are all set up on these two rows, and we now just need to run down to the far row to get that set up. And you get all that pasted. And you get all that pasted. So do you. Okay, and then this one then is... okay, wait. If we just expand this out from that little sad little setup here into like a full proper setup, then it should be fine, right? So this, we get those two in, and they get the settings in as well. And let's just power them. Okay, then we move these mergers across to there. How much is this going to be? This is going to be slightly more than 60 a minute each, and a total of 200 a minute for each row of 3. So that will be 200, 400, 600, 800. That'll be 800, and that will be the last 800. Okay, now that's not really the way that I want this to line up, but I guess that's the way it's going to line up. So ideally, we would have 4 rows of 600 each, and then we could just merge those up easily. But because I have this over here, it's going to be easier to do it like this. Alright, so then we go over to this one, and we have to do the same thing. So we need to move that sync out, and then get this one in. So it's aligned on this row here, approximately anyways. Should be good enough. Then we need a little bit more space for the third. And then this is going to have to be designed differently, of course. So this has to point this way, get these 3 merged up, and then we'll deal with the exact belt speeds once all of the machines are built, but it's probably going to be Mark 6s, right? And then we'll have to wrap this around here. So the smart splitter is there. We get a bit more room for the sink. And the sink goes there. And that connects across. Then this one loops around. And we go into there somehow. And then that will worry about the exact details later. So that is the machines set up for this one. Oh, we might as well give them their settings and get power in, which we can just daisy chain like so. So now those are all in, and we'll obviously have to get the rest of that stuff set up in a moment. Because we're trying to work backwards here, which means just like leaving those half done for now is totally fine. And then we get these ones in. They're going to need some space to build on. So let's expand this out. And then we get them lined up. So it's... Which foundation is it on? I think it's on this one. It doesn't really matter at all, but I'd like to have them all aligned with each other, if possible. And yeah, that looks right. Okay. So then we get merge, merge, merge. And then they go all the way up. And then those will connect in. Okay, so now we have 800, 800, 800. So we have 3 incoming belts of 800, and we need to split them out to 2 belts of 1200. So let's finally get this part in. So we tear this out. I don't know why that's stopped all of a sudden. It's a bit concerning. Okay, so we tear those out, and let's get rid of some of these power poles and those signs, which are now certainly wrong. So each of these needs to split in 2, and then they all need to go up into 2 input belts. So we need a merger there, and maybe having it be offset a little bit will make it easier. Then we need a splitter to go between those 2, a splitter to go between those 2, and a splitter to go between those 2. If this works reasonably comfortably, then that would be cool. I expect it to be a little bit awkward though. So that goes 1 to each. This one goes there and there, which does leave this one a bit trapped, but it can go up and over, and that one can just go over, and then this one needs to go straight forwards into there, and then around and into there. Okay, I think that's actually relatively clean. So we take these belts now and we go into there. So then this one needs to go to here, go up a tick, and over, and then down. And I didn't quite get that lined up properly, but it works. And then this one just goes forwards into there. And that should give us our nice even lines. So, are these two even? Well, they're not going to be even because we haven't actually fixed these up yet. So, okay, so now we have that. We need to get these belts in. So these are going to be 800 a minute, not the 200 or whatever that they are right now. So that we will just upgrade all the way down and not worry about it where exactly it needs to go. Okay, now these are 66, which means that the output belts need to be Mark II, and that gets to be Mark II. So yeah, all of these output belts need to be Mark IIs, and this sink needs to be Mark VI, just in case. Okay, so that's that row done. Then we fly back to here, and we upgrade this one. Okay, so this is now all upgraded up until this point, where all of these go in, and upgraded, and now we get these to be Mark IIs. Alright. Almost done with this one phase. Okay, and then we have that random smart splitter, which doesn't do anything, but that's fine. Okay, so now, if only we were to feed enough copper into these smelters, then it would all be good and it would work. So, that is that. Oh, and this needs to be powered on as well, so let's just get that in. Okay, so now if... Oh wait, no, there's one more line back here, which we need to do. So, we get this belt upgraded all the way back to here. Then this becomes Mark VI belt. And the good news is that, like, the ratios are actually cleaner doing it this way, at least on this level. Like, we're doing full Mark VI belts as opposed to weird, not quite full, like, multiple Mark V belts. So that's nice, at least. Okay, then we run this down, and those are all upgraded. Okay. So, now, if only we had enough copper ingots, then this would work. So, now we need to work backwards one more step to get the copper upgraded. And we know already that we need each of these inputs to be exactly one Mark VI. These need to be Mark IV to get 400 in. So, let's get those upgrades. And that. Okay. It's going to be a lot of upgrading to get those working. Oh wait, no. I'm dumb. I upgraded all of these to Mark IV when only those need to be Mark IV. Up at this point needs to be Mark VI. Alright, so there's going to be a lot of Mark VI belts going on around here. So let's start with the conveyor lifts and just get all of those up. And what is this? Oh, that's just the unrelated one that's going into the quick wire, right? Almost got concerned that I had gotten confused and messed something up. Okay. So, the other thing that we need is we do need these ones to actually have their inputs as opposed to just being this kind of weird, wacky, unique thing. Okay, so let's do this one row at a time because the travel time between rows is high. So these get to be Mark 4s, and this one needs to have that built in. So that goes out. You get a smart splitter, which brings those in. And then this smart splitter goes around here up to somewhere in there and then into that. Okay, so now we just need to upgrade all of these belts. Did I already upgrade this one? Or is it just that throughput monitor on there is causing problems? Yeah, that throughput monitor is preventing me from selecting it, I think. There we go. So that's now in. And we just get this the rest of the way through. Okay, almost there. And, alright, so that is this row upgraded. And then we just have to move forwards and do this for all the rows. And we are also going to need to get the input belts in for this one and those ones. So that'll be fun. So first we need this to clear out because we're going to need this space. Then we put some foundations here. And there we go. Okay, so how does this line up? It looks like you are... Okay, you're coming directly off of the belt, and you're like on the same tile as the center smelter, but one tick off to the side. Sure. Hopefully that is fine. It'll probably need some adjusting, but we can at least get it in to start with. So this gets that belt going out, and you line up to both of those. And then we get a splitter in between. The spacing isn't quite right, but whatever. It's close enough. Alright, and then we need to get that splitter in up there. Put our Mark IV belts into the machines, and then we take this out and in. And of course that needs to be Mark VI. That's the entire point of what we're doing here. Okay. So that is set up. Let's just get that sink connected in as well. And then copy, paste the settings onto that. Alright, and then we just need to connect this back. So we had to dismantle it to make room for all this, and now we just put it back in. There we go. So that is connected back up. And is that everything for this? It is. So now we need to just run through and click to upgrade the belts for all of these other rows. So these will all get upgraded. And then we have the lifts, which need to be Mark 6. And then we need to get the belts, which is hard to select. It's hard to select the belts. So you're going to have to remove the throughput monitors on those, and then upgrade that through. And don't forget the input to the sink, because that's obviously necessary. If something goes wrong and we need to be outputting, the sink needs to be fast enough to keep up. So there we go, that's that one. And then we just have to get this one in, clear out the throughput monitor, and there we are. Okay, so that's another row down. And that should be all good. So now we head down to do the last one. And I really hope that our additions over there on the sides will line up well. So let's get these upgraded first and then add in the addition. Okay, so then we will remove the throughput monitors, although this one shouldn't be necessary because it's slightly further back for some reason. I don't know why that is. So now these get upgraded to Mark IVs, just like that, and just like that. Then these become Mark VIs. And then we just go around and get all of those. Alright, one more set over here. Okay, so that's that. Now we just have to add in the new row, which is going to need some space over this way. So that stuff all goes in. And then we need to get this in. So you are going to be like somewhere there maybe. And you're going to get your conveyor lift. And you get your sink, which lines up just like that. And then we get the splitter in. And that ought to be that. So that goes around. We need to add in this portion. So you go there. And you get a couple of belts going in. And then you get connected up to that. And then these get connected across. Okay. So everything on this floor, as far as the copper powder is concerned, is now correct. So now we need to drop down to the next floor and fix up all of this stuff. So, let's see here. We've got all these guys going through. And these belts go up to feed into the machines. Now, these are 37.5 each. How many of these are we going to need to get up to the full 1200? So, this is the first row. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 machines long. Times 37.5 would be 750. Yeah, that checks out. So now it's 20 machines times 60 would be 1200. So we take these 20 machines, we multiply them by 60, we get the 1200. Okay, then... Okay, now this is where this gets complicated, because this is speed limited, not balanced, which means we're going to need to completely redesign this resource input. But okay, first of all, let's say we do that, right? So we put in some of those guys, have you go up to 60. That's 24 copper ore per machine. 24 times 20 is 480, meaning that this row here, so let me recap. So this feeds 3 machines. Like, there are 3 belts that go up off of this. Each of those needs to be 480, which means we need 480 times 3 is 1440, which is that actually 780 times 2? No, probably not, right? 780 times 2 has enough room for it, but yeah, so we need to fill an extra belt in here somehow. So each of these rows needs to be 1440, 1440, 1440, and 1440, which is a serious problem. So, how on earth is that gonna work? I mean, we could just, like, squish an extra belt on top of the existing one. That is technically an option. Or we could go, let's see here, 1200 minus 1440. So the difference is 240. Right, there's 240 extra that we can't deal with. So then 240 times 4 is 960. So we could just run an additional belt down to the end to deal with the excess. That could work. That could work. Okay, so let's think here. These are going to be 24 times 4. What's 24 times 4? It's 96, not useful. 24 times 5 is 120. But that would be a 1 to 5 balancer, which we don't have room for. Okay, what if we overclock these even more? So, if instead of 24, we go up to, what's it going to be, 75 maybe? 75 outputs? So that takes 30 inputs, which we can then easily speed balance. 1200 divided by 75 is an even number. Okay, so that should line up then. So if we set them like this, then we have a speed balance. We're going to have to completely... Actually, wait, no, we won't have to completely redo it. All we need to do... So this is a 1 to 4. We just need to make this a Mark II belt, and then it works. Alright, so that is good. That's very good. So, we have this one, which is doing 30 per minute. 60, 90, 120. So this needs to go down to 16, right? Which we're gonna be like changing the number of individual machines. We're gonna be changing that ratio, which is complicated, but should ultimately be fine. The fact that this is speed balanced means that expanding these rows wouldn't actually be that hard if that's what we wanted to do. Okay, so is that it for the first batch? We go 4, 8, 12, 16. So yes, this batch here should be capable of doing 1,200. And then... Okay, so we're going to have some excess room, I guess. So we're going to be able to tear some of these machines out. So, like, these 4 machines aren't helpful. Although we might need them because I think that last bit is shorter. So let's see. So then this is our theoretical next group. So that's 4, 8, 12, 16. 4, 8, 12, 16. So yes, the last group is shorter, but with these upgrades it barely fits, I think. Okay. So we can ignore these last couple machines here. I'm not going to tear them out just yet until I confirm. And indeed, I am actually going to get their settings pasted in just to be sure. Okay, so then this machine here... Actually, did I miss one? I feel like I missed one. Yeah, I missed this guy. There you go. Congratulations. That will get upgraded eventually once your next batch is done. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yes. Okay, so then we have this batch of 4, 2, and then those batches of 4 are going to have to go up. So this needs to, like, wrap around a little bit. Right? So this batch of 4 in here, which ends after this machine. So that gets torn down, and you are just going to be going around here. How fast is this? Okay, these settings didn't get pasted to these guys yet, so let's get those. So this is like 300. So that goes back to there, and we have officially now broken our existing setup, which is fine. Okay, and we need to do this for each of the rows. So we take this around, and there is enough space in here. Loop that around to there. And then we go down to this one, tear that out, and loop you around to there. Alright. So that is that. Now what do we need to do? So that's all in. Hello, the infamous copper powder insanity. Yep, it's definitely crazy. The fact that I'm upgrading an existing design, which was absolutely not intended to be upgraded, is making it a bit complicated. So we're going from 5 nuclear pasta a minute to 12, and it's making things a bit weird trying to figure out how to upgrade all this stuff in place without rebuilding all of it. But I think we're making progress. So if we do that, then it lines up, and then this gets its batch of 16. I think it's hard to count because I can either look at this side and know where the batch cuts off, or that side. You're currently making 200 AI expansion servers. That does not sound fun. That is a lot of AI expansion servers. Okay, so this is 4, 8, 12, yeah, okay. So there we go. I'm pretty sure, unless I've extremely messed this up. That is split correctly. And I'm also pretty sure that with the overclocking I'm doing that this batch of 4 is not necessary. Okay, so now we start getting this in. So we can... Okay, let's actually just remove these. So those ones are gone. Yeah, my world is... I've tried to keep it well organized, but you know, whenever you try to go back and change things after the first time you build it, it always just gets worse. Like, it never gets better. The train system is an absolute catastrophe. There's like 2 floors. It's horrible, but it is what it is. Okay, so these are all set up, right? So now we need to get the belt speeds set up correctly. So this is now outputting 75 a minute, which means that these need to be Mark IIs. So these need to be Mark IIs, then the main line needs to be Mark VI, and then we need to go back and do this for all of the different chunks that work like this. Ah, copper powder. What a fun high quantity item. Okay, so then this main line here gets to be Mark VI. Why are you like this? Why are there 2 little chunks in there? Okay. So these are the spots where we auto-connected in, and it's going to cause that weirdness. Okay, so that all goes through. And we're making our way down. Alright, so that is, I believe, this first batch. And then if we just go and make that belt Mark II and all of these equivalent belts Mark II, which should be doable. We go into there, and then one more. Okay, there you go. Alright, I think this first setup is good. This first setup should now be fully functional. And I guess we should just test to see if that happens. So these should hit 100%, and this belt should have 1200 a minute on it. And currently it's definitely popping up and down a bit. 8, 9, 10, 11, and... Alright, so yes, that is going well. So this first batch seems to be working. And is this a full 1200? Looks like it. Although, yeah, no, it looks like it. If not, it's very close. So that's good. Alright. So we have that. That's all set up. Now we just need to do this for all... How many batches are there? There's like 9 pre-built, and then I need to add 3. Man, this whole thing would have been a whole lot easier if I'd just been going from 5 to 10, and I could have just gone farming for summer sloops for half an hour and then, or an hour, and then come back and then just pop them all in and been done. But I just had to more than double, which makes it not worth it to do the summer sloop grind, so we're doing this instead. So all of these belts need to be Mark IIs. So let's just get all those upgrades through. Oop, the old autosave lag. And there we go. Okay. Do I do all of these at once? Yeah, we're gonna have to upgrade all of these, so I might as well just do them all at once in one phase. So all of these output belts get to go up to Mark IIs because they're going to be doing 75 a minute as opposed to 37.5. Just when the autosaves were that quick. Yeah, it's definitely gotten worse over time, and I have to imagine it'll continue to get worse as I expand. Back when you start the new save and you don't even notice the autosaves happening, it's so nice. But for now, it's like, alright, just pause for a second, just take a quick breather, and then come back into it. Alright. So this row, we've got to be almost there, right? Kind of. Alright, so this row is almost done. It's around 4 to 5 seconds. That is brutal. Yeah, I can't imagine it being that bad. That is a nightmare. Alright. So now we have just this last row, and then we're going to need to... I think we'll finish upgrading the existing rows before we add the new row in. That just seems to make sense. Just get one thing done before moving on to the next. So this all goes through. And there we go. Just run along placing this in. Oh, it's raining in the desert. Interesting. It's weird that the weather exists now, and it's like always a bit, oh yeah, that's a thing that's happening. Very, very new update, that one. I don't know if it adds anything or not. It's just sort of a thing that exists. You get used to it? Yeah, I mean, you'd have to, right? Okay, so that is all of the output belt upgrading. Next is going to be the input belt upgrading. You want to see the horrors of your factory? I'm good. I don't want to think about that sort of nightmare. I'd much rather just sit here and deal with my own nightmare, which is a lot less bad. I'm trying to keep it organized, and honestly, I've, all things considered, done a reasonably good job of keeping things non-terrible. Okay. That goes through. And we just have to keep on getting these upgrades, and then we need to paste the settings into all the machines individually, and then we need to upgrade the output belts, and I think that'll be it for this. Oh, we need to dismantle those extra machines as well from each set. Okay, so that is in. So those are the most annoying belts to upgrade, and then we have these ones here, which need to be Mark II and Mark II. Alright, so these are going to be set up so that they're 120 each, and that will mean that all the machines past them get exactly the right amount of resources with no need for buffering or anything, because they'll just take their 120 resources and be good with it. Sort of a hybrid between a manifold and a load balancing thing. It makes it very convenient. There we go. And just a couple more. Okay. So that's that batch done. Next step is pasting the settings into all the machines. And speaking of which, these ones didn't even get that. So, how many power... I don't know if pasting... I think it doesn't take from the dimensional depot, but like placing fresh ones does. I think I'd figured that out at some point. So, we just run down this row, get all these pasted up, and okay, at this point they're already been pasted, so these ones are all good. Now these ones should be fine as well, and these ones aren't getting any because all the ones up there are hogging the resources. That's fine. It'll get fixed once we are done putting the extra copper in. So now we run down to here, and we just get pasting again. And hope we don't miss any. For some reason it's been less consistent on successfully copy pasting today. I don't know if that's a lag thing, or like, did that one get pasted? No, it didn't. See? I don't know if that's a lag thing, or if my keyboard is doing something funky, or if I'm just like missing it somehow, like standing too far away sometimes. But need to pay a bit more attention to that. And we should be able to tell based on the color of the light, obviously, so it shouldn't be that bad. Okay, so then these 4 are the ones which get removed. 1, 2, I definitely dismantled that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we keep pasting. Yeah, so they finish their current cycle before changing, obviously. So there we go. We get all these pasted in. And as power shard supplied, still got plenty. Okay. So that is all good. Now we get this row, and it'll be the last one for now, until we have to add the entire 4th row in, which we still have some belts to upgrade before we get to that. Okay, so these are now the ones which we remove. 1, 2, oh, lag. 3, oh, lag. And 4, alright. That lag is concerning, but it's probably nothing. We're just going to ignore it and move on, and hope that the game doesn't crash or something. It might be like a combination of dismantling things, which is always laggy, plus the fact that there's rain, which might conceivably be adding a little bit to the lag. Okay, so then this goes all the way down. And unless I've missed any, that should be all the settings pasted. And it'll be real hard to tell if I've missed any until we get the upgraded copper supply in, but that's another step or two down the line. So now what we get to do is we get to upgrade these belts to Mark 6s. So these get upgraded, and we have to not miss those tiny little segments of auto connect, which it certainly does make it slightly more annoying to upgrade, but makes it a lot more convenient to build, so there's a trade-off there. Alright, and then that gets upgraded, and okay, apparently those are connected because I haven't had any problems with it in the past. But I'm just gonna dismantle that and make sure that it definitely connects up. So there we go. Now I don't have to worry about that. And we just keep going. Okay, so that is the loop back bit, which means that those didn't need to be upgraded, but that's fine. It's not like I have a shortage of construction materials, hopefully. And now we're into a portion of the map where there's actual stuff on the belts. That's fun. So these upgrades go through, and just a couple more. And that one goes up. And we're all good. Alright, now we just have this row, and I think that's it for the upgrades. And I can't remember if I upgraded the lifts or not. We'll have to run back and make sure that those are done. Alright, almost there. Just this last line to go. Those 4 don't need the upgrades. And then we go back over to these ones. And those all get upgraded. Okay. Just a tiny bit more, and that's that. Okay, and then I already did this, right? No, I didn't. Alright. I could have sworn I did, but that's why we check. So these upgrades all go across. And a tiny little gap in there, which we need to grab. And then that goes up. And then we have these ones. So these get upgraded. Oh, those ones didn't need to. Whatever. Good enough. So these upgrades all go in. And we're almost done. 1, 2, 3. And then we get those, and we get this little batch of 3. And we are there. Okay, then we have these ones which don't exist. And then, oh wait, did I not do any of the upgrades down past this point? I must not have. Okay, that's fine. We'll have to do those, obviously. This one is done. These ones need to be done. I did get the output belts, though. So that goes in. All of these guys go in. Just some nice, relaxing clicking on belts for a while. We're almost through it, though. We're almost through. Have to get that one. And then this last segment down here. And hopefully that should be it. Unless I've missed something, at which point I will eventually loop around and figure out. The good news is that the demand is so high relative to the stack size that if there is a problem, it'll show up pretty much instantly. Okay, so those ones are done. Those ones are done. And these ones are done. So now it's just the lifts to do. So let's go grab our Mark 6 lifts and run those along to there and there. And I guess this one will need it eventually, when I eventually upgrade it into a full row, opposed to whatever I was doing with it previously. And then we get these 3, and that one's apparently already done. And then we go back for these ones. And we get you upgraded and get you upgraded, and that should be everything. So that should be everything, and this belt looks like it's being belt speed limited. I wonder if there's a sneaky Mark 5 in here somewhere. No, it looks fine. This looks like it's just going at full speed. Alright, so yeah, some of these are going to be going at full speed and others won't be running at all because it's speed limited. But that should be all set up for that. And now... Okay. So everything past these machines is all set up properly. So now, if only these machines were getting enough input, then the entire copper powder system would work. So, for the input here, the amount of water is the next step that we need to think about, because I didn't even briefly consider that. Oh, and the amount of copper going in as well is the other thing. Okay, so we have established that this is 48 machines, right? There's 3 batches of 16. So 30 times 48 should be 1440. We checked that earlier, yes. Now 20 times 48 is 960. So currently this is being fed by a single Mark II pipe. We're going to have to add a second one onto each of these rows, which, please say there's like... Okay, the oasis is that way, so we can just grab water from the oasis and then bring it into the other side of these pipes. And then that should just work without any problems. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, then... So that part is easy. The water part is easy, so let's instead think about the copper part. So, wait, no, we need to add in our 4th row before we mess around with any of that. So, let's get that going. Oh, is this that bit where there's a rock in the way? Yeah, that could be an issue, although there's actually that spot with 4 missing machines further down, so it should be fine, probably. So these have the same sort of structure of their batches of 4. Now, I wonder if this is a blueprint. It's gotta be, right? There's no way I built this 20 trillion times. Pure copper. What is going on here? Is this... Yeah, so this blueprint is the thing we're looking for. I ran that water pipe in a very annoying location, but it's fine. We will just take it out and then rebuild whatever the heck it was doing later. Because we are going to be redesigning the water in this entire factory as well, so that's fine. Now, let's actually have a blueprint designer to just update the blueprint for this, so we don't have to run through and manually change it every single time again when we build it from scratch. That should be quite helpful. Alright, so all of this, that water pipe goes away to clear us some space. I have no idea what was going on in here. It looks like this was just an extra source of water for all of those. We're going to be redesigning that in a second. Okay. So, let's head back over to here to start placing in those machines. So we have the open space, and we're going to need some extra room on the foundations. So let's just place, that should be enough, right? We only need like a tier 2 blueprint designer. Pop that in and load up the pure copper. Wait, no, load blueprint. So it's pure copper. And it's loaded. Am I inside of a machine right now? Of course I'm inside of a machine right now. Okay, let's try that again. Load blueprint pure copper. Okay. So I've managed to load it while not being physically inside of it, so that's a big improvement. And now we just need to get that belt is Mark II. and then we hop over here. These belts are Mark II, and then the mainline belt gets to be Mark VI, and that should save us all the trouble of upgrading it. There we go. And then these machines get to be faster, and we need more power shards. And apparently my inventory is full of junk. Very cool. Let's clear all that stuff out. Should be enough spaces. Paste, paste, paste. I'm in take from inventory before depot mode, right? Yes, it's just because I was dismantling 20 billion things. Alright, so now we just save that, overwrite the previous one, clear it, and Blooper Designer down, back to building. So this first one needs to be upgraded. Oh, I didn't upgrade the mainline belt on this side. That's probably fine. Okay, I was doing some weird stuff here because this is the copper which goes out to the other side, but let's just ignore that and overwrite it and then deal with that later. So this one is overwritten, and then we need to upgrade this first chunk and also this chunk over here. Okay, so we have that, that gets disconnected. Congratulations, you're attaching into this now, which is Mark 6 all the way out. And okay, so I got those in. And then we just upgrade this belt like that. And I can't remember if I did this one or not. Okay, looks like I did. Very nice. So we have 2 of these batches here. And this goes into the one we wanted to, right? Yes, it does. Alright. So now we just have to place down another 2 of these batches for the first wave. So we get pure copper. Oh! Game crash. Very cool. Let's send that crash report and restart. Alright. We get to restart the game. This is going to take a little bit. Let's see how long it takes. Alright. So that is going to go. This could literally take several minutes. So we're just going to sit here. So we need to expand out the row of copper that we're working on, which should be really straightforward and easy. Then we need to add in the extra little bonus copper production, which is going to have to be going to the other side. I guess we might as well do that now while we're thinking about copper. And then we're going to have to go over and do all the pressure conversion cube stuff, which is going to be a whole chore. There's going to be a whole lot more complicated steps in that. Alright, our last autosave was back here. Okay, so that gets upgraded to Mark II. Pretty sure this just gets upgraded to Mark VI. Pretty sure that's just necessary. And then we have to hop around this side, get this one upgraded again. And then get these outputs upgraded, and then get the settings pasted. So let's grab some power shards. Let's clear some junk out of my inventory. And then these need to be 75 per minute. Like so. And then copy, paste, paste, paste. Okay. now we save this and save that and clear the designer. And I actually wonder, technically the blueprints might be saved externally immediately, so that we might not have even lost that, but it's good to just do it again just in case. Okay, so now we have to run over here and upgrade this section. So that belt here gets to be Mark II, as does this one over here. So there we go. Then we fly it around to this. These all get to be Mark II belts. And I hope my game doesn't crash again. That would be real cool. Do not like losing progress, so I'd really rather not. Okay, so that gets upgraded, and then that actually has to be dismantled and brought along to there, where this just continues to go forwards, and then up into that. Okay, so that's all that set up, and now we paste the settings in. That's working properly. Paste, 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 and paste. Okay. So that's everything that we had. Now, we're going to try to do this again. Pure copper. Rotate you to be facing the right way. Blueprint, auto connect build mode, and then sort of nudge you along to there. And then we can place that in. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is our first batch of 16. Wait, no, this one is facing backwards, because of course it is. Pure copper. Please face the correct way for once, which is like that. So now that goes in correctly, and it all attaches across and should be good. Okay, then we just pop the power lines across like that, and they should be all good to go. Aside from the fact that this is definitely not going to be enough water or anything to feed them. But that is a problem we will deal with next time. So, that's the first batch of 16 done. Now we need to start up the second batch of 16. So we go pure copper. You are going to need to go in default build mode for now. And then we sort of nudge you around. So you're lined up correctly with that one, and then shove you back to be lined up correctly with that as well. Alright. It's convenient that we had that extra space built in. So now it all just kind of works. Okay, now... Ooh, that was a bad autosave lag. It was more than usual. Okay, so now this goes up, and it doesn't quite line up, but we should be able to make it work. So you can just go around like that. And let's see, so this one, we didn't have it as Blueprint Auto Connect mode, but we still do need some of these things to connect across. So you go like that, you go like that. And, alright, none of the copper is making it back this far, at least not just yet. Okay, so this is going to be another batch of 16. So let's get the power across. And actually, if we want to worry about power, we can place it from this side so that we're just closer in. So we have one. You get to be Blueprint Auto Connect. Hello. placed. Alright, so that's 2. That is 3, and this is 4. Okay, so that is all in, and that seems to be connected. Alright, so let's get power across. And that just goes like that to get all those to be yellow. Okay, so that's going. Then, this is the point where we had the weird loop back ones, which I think we will still have just because it'll make the spacing work better. So then we get 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's all built in. Alright, so now we need to find where the loop back starts. It's... Ooh, don't run into the floor. It's this one, loops back. I did not give myself much space in here. Yikes. Okay, we can still make this work. Probably. I should have given myself that extra little bit of space. That was a mistake. Ah, well. Okay, so we dismantle that. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is then where the next lift should be. So you also go up here. You also don't line up quite perfectly, but that's fine. So you do that. Okay, so now we need to get this belt back into there, and I think I know how I'm going to do it, and it's incredibly cursed, but whatever. We use the old vertical merger, which I kind of dislike, but it's fine. I don't know, just looks weird. I have no particular reason to dislike it, I just dislike it. And then that just goes back, and it works. Gross, but it works. Should have left myself the space. Should have left myself the space. Alright, that's fine. So then that is in. Then, okay, we need to get this power connected. And just sort of go along with all of that. Alright, power is all connected. And these are all in. So now this is, I believe, the correct setup for the copper powder production. We have a little bit of copper demand left to go, so we're going to need to do that, but this should be good. So now it is just a matter of getting the copper, ore, and water in, and let's get that last little bit in as well. So you go in there, there, and there. That's the 3 things that we expect. So then we just have this. So this is the sort of weird extra copper, because we might as well make all the copper in one place, and we need some copper over for the pressure conversion cubes. So what do you need? You need 40.178 copper. That's just like literally one refinery, right? So if we go grab some space in this area. So we just grab some space in that area, and we just pop down a refinery, and it can just go like that, probably. Okay, how are we actually going to get the copper to this is the question. and maybe just like a center any left overflow belt. I don't know. The copper input to this row is something which, to be fair, I haven't really spent much time thinking about. So you are center any left overflow, and that connects across like that. So now this will be like the last priority for copper, basically. So then you are pure copper, and I've already forgotten how much it was supposed to be, but that's fine. So then you also get just a random water attachment, which shouldn't be a problem. And then you have your belt. Okay, let's get this floor to expand out this way. And then cover up this area. This was like 40 point something, so it's just going to need to be a Mark 1. I don't know why I had it face that way. That's a dumb way of having it face, but whatever. So then this just goes down to here, and then it just connects up. Okay, so that exists again, and just give it that. Okay, so all of the copper production, I just have to set that to its correct value. It was like 40.17 something, I think, right? Just head over here. 40.178. And we're going to need to double it eventually, but that'll be a thing that we do at the pressure conversion cube step. So for now, we're just going to pop in the 40.178. Just going to need a power shard, barely. 40.178. Okay. So, the copper production is all good. It's been fixed. Now, all we need to do is get the copper and water supplies in. So each of these rows is 1440 copper, which means that we put 1200 down the line, and then we have an extra 240 that we need to add in. 240 times 4 is 960, so we're just going to have like another copper belt down there somewhere, which feeds in the last extra bit. Okay, so let's start working on that. So this one is mostly done already, but just that first bit needs to be upgraded. And I'm sure I got that chunk in as well. So this one is done. Now we go through to upgrade this one, and again we're only really worrying about things like from this point forwards right now. We'll worry about the actual number of copper sources as the next step. Actually, well, we'll do the water first as well. For now, we are just getting these belts upgraded, because we know they're going to need to be fast. And at some point down on this side, we're going to need to input an extra belt. So we're going to have a merger on this somewhere in this area. And this one is going to be harder to do that for than the others, because it's so cramped. These ones should be relatively straightforward. We can just put the belt in this empty-ish bit there. Alright, so these go all the way down. And we just keep on running this extra speed belt along until we get there. Alright. We can do this at this speed and be fine. Okay, so that is that row done. And then finally we have this row, which will conveniently mean that we end over on the other side, where we're going to have to figure out how to get the extra top-up inputs in. Alright, so this runs down to here. And we just click a whole bunch of times, and then it'll be all upgraded. I hope we don't run out of time crystals or fixite trigons. That would be awkward. Okay, so all that upgrading is done. Now we need to figure out, so we have like, we need to figure out where the last 240 are. So it's 30, 60, 90, 120, 30, 60, 90, 120. So like out here, right? So this is exactly where it will give up. Just the last two need their own extras. All the rest of these, once we get that belt to be 1200, all the rest of these should be fine. So we chop these belts here. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we just need a input on this side, because otherwise we'd have to run it all the way down the whole way. So we get a belt which runs down that way and is going to be inputting that. So here we're going to need it to go up and up like that, and then across. Can I just have it default mode, just like rest on this? No. Okay, we're gonna have to just put in, and actually if we just put a stackable conveyor pole somewhere on here, then that should work. Alright, stackable conveyor pole, congratulations. You get to be used for the first time in like a billion years. So then this comes out over that way, and then you can pop back down. That's not ground level. That didn't pop down to ground level at all. Please drop down to ground level like that. There we go. Okay, so then we have this one, and you get to do this, and then come out to here. And then we have just one more of these left to go. So we grab you from here, and then you go all the way out this way. And then we just need to get a 1-to-4 splitter to feed into all of these, and that should be good. And this needs to be 240 each, so we get that one, and we get that one, and then this one gets fed into by a bigger splitter. Ooh, autosave lag. Every time that autosave lag happens, I think it's going to crash, and then it doesn't, and then I'm very, very relieved about the fact that it didn't crash. Okay, so then this comes all the way down to here. This water nonsense, we just sort of need to tear that back. We're going to need to be doing something with water over here, but it's not this. Okay, so then we get you in, and then you just split to there and over to there. Okay, so now if we put 960 copper in there and 1200 copper in all of those, then we'll be done. So that will be the copper sorted out. next up we have the water. And let's see, how much water is this each? It's 20 times 48 per row, which is 960 per row. So we have full Mark II pipes coming in from both sides, and then it should just work out. It should be relatively straightforward, and the oasis is right over there. So I don't know what was going on with all this nonsense, but it definitely doesn't need to be all connected up like this. We just take these guys out, and what I think this was is like it would take the excess water from those rows and then feed it over to this last one or something like that, but we don't need all that. We can just take those out, and then all of these water pipes are going to just go, yeah, let's just send them all over this way. So let's actually, before we do that, let's get this belt in. So this needs to sort of, we want it to be compact, like back there. And then each of these water pipes can then sort of go in and take space in a line like this. And as long as all of these are full or nearly full pipes, then they should provide enough to not have issues. So those four all line up to each other. And then this is the last one. So this one goes all the way over to here. And then those are all lined up together. Okay. So now we put 960 copper there, 1200 copper on each of those lines, and 600-ish water in all of those pipes, and we should be all clear and good to go. So now let's start working on the copper input then. And we're going to start by working on the main copper input, so these ones over here, which need to be 1200 each, which is going to be a bit of a task. So we run down this way, and actually, okay, wait, the one on the far right, I just realized we have an extra, like, 20 copper there from the other side, so we're gonna need a bit more room on that copper belt. But it's fine. So each of these, we've got 4 copper belts here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of them needs to be 1200. So we will just start with this one and work through them one at a time. So this one, we upgrade back to here. And this just goes back. Just turn on the flashlight so we can get some colors in this. So that goes down. And then that gets upgraded. Thank you, autosave. So now this runs all the way back to here. All the way just off into the distance. And who knows what's over here. So now we get to see, is this fast enough just on its own? Yes. So you add the last power shard in, crank you up. That's 1200 copper a minute. Very cool. So that's 1 copper belt down. And 3 to go. So now we have to follow all the way back over to here for the next ones. Okay. So the next one is this one here. And we need you to be upgraded like this. And these upgrades run all the way back. And then they go down off the foundation and into this, whatever this is. I don't know why I did that, but whatever. So then this belt goes down, and I feel like this one might not have enough copper. I guess we'll have to find out. So I definitely checked these guys earlier, and I had figured out that we don't have enough copper just by upgrading the existing belts. So we are going to need to add in a new copper node or two. And I think this might be one of them. I think this is like a normal node or something. Alright, so you're also good. So you get to be 1200 a minute. Very cool. So that's half of them done with enough copper to be all filled out. Alright, then we run down this way. And that's half of them down. Alright. I think that's where the easy part ends. I think I remember that we were doing 2 pure nodes and then a handful of others. I don't know. That was way earlier in the stream. I can't remember exactly. So now we have this one. And we're just going to upgrade this one back. And it gets all its Mark 6 belts. And then it goes down right here. Wait, I could have sworn I remembered this one being a pure node too. Yes, alright, you're also a pure node. Cool. So that's 3 of the 4 down. And now I think... Okay, this one's definitely going to be the hard part then. Because this one needs way more. So you are the same as everything else, with a little bit extra on top, which we're going to need to account for in a little bit. Now this one just goes Mark 6 back all the way down to here, but I think that this one is going to be accessing just like a normal node or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I strongly remember this one being a normal node, actually. So let's obviously do the upgrades, and then we'll head over and see. Alright, way off into the distance. So we're going to need, assuming that this is a normal node, we'll just need to track down another normal node and just merge them up, and then it'll be fine. And I think there's something over there. Alright, so that goes upgraded, and you are, yeah, you're a normal node. So you can go up to 600 a minute. And then, is this a second normal node, or are you impure? That's a second normal node. Fantastic. That makes it easy. Okay, so this power pole comes over here. Production, minor Mark 3. Oh, we have to get rid of this stupid little thing first. There's got to be a better way of doing this. Okay, so that's gone. And autosave, thank you. Alright, so then that gets pasted in. We need to restock on power shards real quick. And fill you up. So then your 600 comes over here and is going to meet up with this one's 600. And then that will be that. Okay. So that is enough. And the reason this one isn't running is because I did sort of just disconnect it from water. So that's a thing. So these are the water supplies, and we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, I don't know. I don't understand how I connected these up, but we have 1, 2, 6, 10, 14, 15, 20. So we have 20, so this is 4 full pipes of water. That should be almost... That should be enough for what we need from this. Unless one of those is going somewhere else, which it probably is now that I think about it. Yeah, you're headed over that way. So we need to add another full pipe of water onto this lake and bring it over to where we're going. And there's still plenty of room on here, so I don't need to think about, like... I don't need to think about redesigning these with power shards as well, although I am going to just use overclocked for these, because placing 5 of them is, like, way, way harder than just placing 2. So then we can just daisy chain those up, and that is nice. These are, like, the most annoying things to connect to power because they're in the water. So then these get overclocked, and then we take this extra water pipe and we bring it over. Alright, so this comes around and just keeps on going. Alright, so this just goes and goes and goes. It's not right on top of the water, but it's relatively close, which is nice. Okay, and then apparently we have some pumps needed here, so you can just go up to there and you can get your pump and get connected. So that ought to get you going once the water makes it all the way across to here, which should happen in a moment. Okay, so then we have 1, 2, 3, and we just need this to connect up to our last row that we just added. So you can continue to sort of sneak along the side of the foundation, which is technically bad form because it makes it impossible to expand the foundation in this direction, but we're never expanding the foundation in this direction for a number of reasons. So that goes out. This new pipe still hasn't gotten any water going through. And is that... It probably got stuck on this hill. Yeah, it got stuck on that hill. Alright, that's fine. So we just put a pipe. Just like a Mark 1 pump ought to be good enough. So that goes into there. Provides a little bit of head lift. Just enough to get you going. Over this hill and then up to the next pump over here. Which is honestly probably overkill. Like, we could just have that Mark II pump back there, but it's fine. Power grid isn't going to trip because of one extra pump. Although, power grid is a whole lot sketchier than it has been basically at any point across the entire factory, so we might need to start doing optimizations for power grid concerns, but not quite at that point yet. So this goes... I don't like that. Alright, you can just go up onto there, and then up, and now you don't quite clip. Yep, so that is all good. So now these guys get to start making copper with the rest of the gang. Okay, so that is all of the inputs from this side done. Then we have 360 water per row times 4. So we're going to need another 3 pipes of water down from this side. So 3 pipes from water and 960 copper is all going to be coming down from this side. And then We also need to change when this is inserted. So we need to go all the way down to here, because we have that extra copper demand on this particular belt. So the exact ratio isn't good enough here. We need you to go out. We need you to continue forwards. And then you can handle an extra bit over there. And this will be priority left, I think, because we need this excess to go into that. So then this belt connects back to here. And so instead of... So this one is going to need to be different then, because instead of 270, it needs to be 3... Well, instead of 240, it needs to be 360. And that can be done... Let's see, the exact splitting is going to be a bit awkward for this, because this one is supposed to be exactly 240. So let's get that forced. So we put another splitter onto there. We take that one out. We get a merger in. And then that is 120 plus 120. And these get to be smart splitters with left any center overflow. Okay, so now this belt will be exactly 240 no matter what's going on with this one. But then if this is 240 and this is 360, 240 plus 360 is 600. So this belt here needs to be made Mark 5. And that's also going to mess with some of this splitting here. So we have, no, it should be fine. We have 1200 in here. We have exactly 480 coming out there. And let's smart split you to be center any right overflow. So this is forced to be exactly 480, and then that means 240, 240. And this gets the overflow, so we need 1080 on this belt, at least. Yeah, 1080 at least should be fine. So that will just be like another pure node, or two normal nodes if they exist. So there's one normal node, one impure node, so that is 900. Sure would be convenient. Alright, so there's another impure node, there's another normal node. Or we could go over to this way. Are any of you pure? No, there's just a whole bunch of normals around. So we are going to grab that normal, those two impures, and call it a day. So can I see all of those from here? We have 1, 2, 3. Yes, those are all visible from here. Alright, so let's grab a power pole and start moving in that direction. So power line goes down to ground level and runs forwards down to here. So it stops by there, veers over this way, and then it'll go down there, but let's get this one built first. Yeah, okay, so now there's a mob standing there. Please move. Please just spend another 5 seconds walking. There we go. Okay, but I also need to clear out the little rock. So the rock goes away. There we go. Now we go miner Mark 3. And 3 power shards. Pop that in. Okay. So there we go. And then let's just connect this one in to the belt and then just attach the other ones up to this one. That should be an easy way of doing it. So first, let's head up here and bring this belt down off the ledge. So down you go. And there we are. So this is now down to ground level, and we just bring it over here. And alright, so that's connected up. That's half of what we need. So then we pop in a merger, and we're going to just bring this belt over to here. So this belt goes all the way over this way. And then we need to get this node cleared out. And miner mark 3. Connect the belt up. Connect the power up. And power shard. There we go. And then the last one, I gotta zoom in again, is just due north of us. So let's pop in another merger. Bring that up this way. And I lost sight of it when we lost altitude. It's on the other side of that sand dune. So that goes over that way. The belt follows. Belt follows over here. And there we go. And this goes a little bit further. And down to there. So now we just have to clear out this one and get it attached up. Alright, so we do that mining, and of course the guy just decided to go and stand on it. There we go. And connect you up. Power you up. And throw in the shards. Alright, so that is 1200 on this, which means that we now have all the copper we need. And this one is outputting, that one will be outputting soon, this one's been outputting for a while. So, copper, check. Copper, check, and I can't tell if it's backlogging or if that's just what the animation looks like. For now, we are going to pop over here and get the water that we need. So we need a little bit of water coming in from this side. Alright, can that random plant go away? We need the space there. We don't need the space there specifically, but it's more convenient, I think. So we need 3 water pipes. So that's 1. That's 2. And this is 3. And then we need a power pole with space on it somewhere. Like that. And then you can just go into these machines and then they daisy chain. Alright. Very cool. Let's swap back to the coffee cup actually. Alright, so then we get these guys upgraded. Settings get pasted, and there we are. Whew, those lag spikes. They definitely feel like the lag spikes are worse than they have been in the past. I think it's probably an update thing. So hopefully that gets sorted out eventually. If not, it's not a big deal though. It's not as bad as it could be. Alright, so the water comes out of these. I don't know why they're angled up, but that's just the way they are. Water comes out of them, and then we just have to gather it all up over this way. And then you go down to there. Okay. So water. We now have our 3 water pipes. That's 1800 water. We calculated we needed 1440, so this should give us a bit of buffer. And now we just have to go over that way and connect these guys up. And yikes, it's not continual power along the way. Let's get you just like there. That should be enough, I think. So now these pipes go around this way, and please let me place them in legal ways. That invalid placement is... what's wrong with it? Is it that quartz? Okay, we'd have to just, like, steer very, very clear from that quartz, basically. So now let's go up onto this rock. And it's going to be crabby about that limestone, so if we just go up to there and then around, that works. Okay, we are going to want pumps on these at some point. I guess we'll just see how far they get before they need it. Having that sort of thing in close to the factory is more convenient when it's possible. Although it's quite likely that we'll need a small pump. Thank you, Mr. Bean. I appreciate you being here. Could you please walk somewhere else? Okay, well, he's just gonna be there, I guess. Bounce. 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 Alright. He's moved a little bit. Hopefully that will be enough. Alright, so then these just go forwards. And we managed to build that one before the bean got in the way. Oh, but now he's just clipped directly into my pipes and is blocking one of them off. Very cool, thank you. Please leave. I don't know if he can leave. Oh wait, he can? Yes. Walk that way? Yes. Alright, pipe placed. And now we just have to build these pipes before he decides to turn around and head this way again. When you're playing in passive mode, the beans are the true arch nemesis of the factory. Because you don't want to kill them. It takes a long time to kill them, even if you did want to, and they're very big. Alright, so water pipes. Most of the way there now. So here we have these pipes, and we've got 4 of them because there are 4 inputs there. So now what we need is, we need basically a conversion thing. So these are going to all connect up. 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 pipes are going to go into this. And then 3 pipes are going to come out, and I guess we'll leave that middle one as one of the ones which doesn't, because, I don't know, maybe that'll help make them all be balanced. Okay, then I just want to make sure that nobody gets confused about what we're doing here, so we get valves pointing downwards from there. And that should be fine. Now, that one can connect directly. That one can connect directly. This one can't quite make it, so you'll just go down to there and then connect. Okay, so it looks like the water got through 2 of these. So you get a pump, you get a pump. And there's a power pole right here. So that can connect us up and get that going. And then this one seems to have gotten stuck a bit earlier for some reason. I don't know what exactly... I mean, it's like half full in a lot of these places, but... yeah, probably just needs a bit of a boost. So there you get one of those, which is going to go and connect into that. And that should give you the boost you need. These are all running, right? Yeah, those are all running. Okay. So now we can go over to here. I don't think the 20-foot boost is going to be enough to get quite up here. So then you just get your own pump there, which pops into that. And now that is all going. So we have our water pumping into here. And that should be all set. And these ones are... that's showing 50%. Did this not get upgraded? Yes, this didn't get upgraded. Alright. Did we miss a whole row of these? Yes, we missed an entire row of these upgrades. Probably just... did we really miss the literal entire row? Okay, that's unfortunate. Okay, no, back here? No, still going. Still going. So all these upgrades go in. And... oh, because this was the first row, so I did like the first third of it. And then I must have just mined auto-completed to having done the first row. Yeah, because this one is done. Okay, so that is that. Now we just need that to trickle through. It'll be a bit of a delay, obviously, because these cycles are 12 seconds long. So it might take, and it also might take a couple seconds for it to get through on the belt. But yeah, that looks like it's going now. 9, 10, 11, 12, done. Yes, so that's going now. So these ones aren't happy. They're not getting enough water. That's should be fine. We should be importing more water now. And I assume that these guys are all going to have that same problem. Just looking out for anyone that's actually short on copper. Don't see any. Okay. So we have water. And water should be coming in from this side. These ones don't have a valid output. Okay, so is that... so first of all, this sink didn't get placed. Second of all, this didn't get set up. So that's left any center overflow and connect the sink to power. This sink seems to be connected to power. Okay, so that is now going. And those will take a bit of time to get warmed up. And now they are also going to be short on water. So did our new water inputs not work? Or what's going on with that? We do have water up here. It's going in. It's just got a lot of boxes to fill. So each individual machine is 50 water. So at 600 a minute, and assuming this has to deal with 24 of the 48, because there's another 600 coming in from there. So 50 times 24 divided by 600. Okay, it should be like 2... well, in theory it would be like 2 minutes, but there's also the fact that these are running and those draining water and not filling entirely. So yeah, it's gonna be a minute and a half before they all get done, but they should get there eventually. And this row and the outer 2 rows actually should have a head start, because They were broken for other reasons, so they had time for the water to fill up. So that is going, and then we're going to see these guys in the middle not have enough water, and they should get there eventually. Alright, then... But is that all, right? So we have the water inputs, we have the copper inputs fixed. We have all these intermediate belts fixed. We have everything up here probably fixed, although I obviously haven't tested it. So, in theory, this should start backing up because there's too much copper. So we still don't have the other half of this factory, which is the pressure conversion cubes. So this copper should be fully saturated on all the belts and waiting for pressure conversion cubes, and that is indeed what we see. So that's all good. And other than that, it seems to be working. So we've certainly increased production. Oh, I see a green light on a machine. That one, the paste failed and I didn't notice. Let's head over here. And you need to be Control-C, Control-V. Neither of those worked. Copy, paste. There we go. So you are all set up. And yeah, so I think the copper powder side of this is done. There's a strong chance that it isn't, and there's other problems with the water. And like, if the water doesn't fill in properly, then it could be broken. And there's also other weird problems which could have shown up without me realizing, but I think the copper powder production is up to the level we need it to be. So I think that's a good stopping point for today. And then next time around, we are going to be heading over here to the pressure conversion cube factory, where we also need to dramatically increase this. So if I recall, we had built, it's all the way up here, we had built these in, and so we have this one summer slooped, this one summer slooped, this one gets the second summer sloop, and then these will be set to 12 per minute instead of 15, so that's going to be 4 each. And then, oh wait, no, it'll be 2 each because the summer sloop is weird. Alright, so with that, we should be able to work on this, and we're going to need to upgrade all this stuff. It's going to be a whole complicated process. Unlike the copper powder side, there's like 20 intermediate steps here which we're going to need to fix, so this is going to take a lot more work. But once we have it, we'll have the nuclear pasta that we need for the singularity cells, and that should be that. So we're going to wrap up here for today. Thanks everyone for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. I will be back tomorrow playing Factorio, where I am making very serious headway on legendary quality modules, and once we get those down, we'll be able to really quickly transition into a whole bunch of other legendary quality stuff. So if you're interested in Factorio, then make sure to stop by then. Otherwise, I will be here in Satisfactory on Tuesday. So I stream Satisfactory on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. Factorio on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, same time. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure to follow if you haven't already. And if you have already followed, thanks. That's pretty cool. Appreciate that. And that's about it. See you guys next time. Bye.